Good morning. Tuesday, March 1st, 2013. So I feel obliged to come to this destination eventually, but I kind of just stumbled upon it really. I mean, I wasn't given any sort of clues or hints as to this was coming up. Absolutely no signs or guideposts or anything. I bumped into this at random, but I'm glad I did. So I decided to get some lunch here. Am I a sucker for Sherlock Holmes stuff? I think that's pretty obvious. Okay, whatever. I guess the English church in London wasn't good enough here. Welcome to the British Museum. Rosetta Stone.
The British Museum was filled with a great diversity of artifacts from all over the world. This included pottery, more pottery, statues of naked people, more statues of naked people, sarcophagi, plus a piece of the Great Sphinx's beard. Do not blink. I, for one, enjoyed the weapons and armor the most. This shield is from Uganda. It is the same kind of shield found on the country's coat of arms. Kind of ironic that I had to go all the way to London to see a shield from Uganda when I was just in Uganda. And check out this wicked display of African throwing knives. I mean, seriously, don't you just want to take one of these home with you?
Alright, so 6:20 in the evening. I'm kind of out of breath because, again, I got out the wrong tube stop and I had a little bit of walking to do. Anyway, behind me is the Tower of London, and frankly, it looks creepier at night. Well, my tour that I'm taking through Sandemans, the same organization that did my Royal London tour, we're doing a Grim Reaper's tour of London, the kind of creepier, darkier side of London.
The Grim Reaper's tour of London's East End? Definitely in the top 3 coolest things I did in London. First stop was this area. In the past, this was a site of execution. Commoners were hung, while the upper class was beheaded via large, shiny axe. Now, beheadings were public entertainment. Because of this, a scaffold was built nearby, for the beheading of Simon Fraser, the Lord Lovat, the last person to be executed at this site. Before putting his head on the block, Simon made a disapproving comment about the number of people he saw around him. Seconds later, the scaffold collapses, killing 20 people. Simon loved the irony so much, he began to laugh. According to legend, he was still laughing after the axe came down. The Tower of London. So many stories here. One of which is that it's haunted by the ghost of Anne Boleyn, wife number 2 of Henry VIII, without her head on her body. St. Catherine Docks. Infamous cargo includes prisoners bound for Australia and plague rats. Ah yes, the so-called prostitutes' church. Back in the day, this is where they went, not to pray, but to get some clients. Being a prostitute was not illegal, but advertising was. So, they couldn't stand in one place. They had to keep moving. But they had to do it slowly to let potential customers have a good look. Just imagine these half-drunk or hungover, shabby-looking, unhealthy women doing this. Then we began to follow in the footsteps of Jack the Ripper. He only ever killed prostitutes, but he had a very specific, gruesome way of doing it, involving ripped-open abdominals and several other nasty things. This is Mitre Street, and this is Mitre Square. It was here that the first victim of the devil-killing night was found. Jack was interrupted while dealing with his first victim, and had to move on to the second. It was this fact that made everyone realize that Jack was interested in the dissecting, not strictly speaking, the killing. We had a minor break to visit the Gherkin, as it's called, very famous building in London. No dark stories here. Here you see me standing on top of a former plague pit. My tour ended near the 10 Bells pub near Brick Lane, where I was only 2 days earlier. It was in a private room above this still operating pub, where the last victim was found dissected quite extravagantly. Now you might be thinking, who in their right mind would go to that pub with its dark history? Well, Me. Oh, by the way, amongst the many theories on the identity of Jack the Ripper, one states that Jack was not a Jack at all. The killer could have been a woman. The Jill the Ripper theory. To this day, the identity remains a mystery. Good night, and watch your back.